What's up guys, my name is Yuno. Today I'm showing you 5 spots in Nagoya, a city most travelers skip on their way between Tokyo and Osaka. One of these places is home to one of Japan's 3 sacred imperial treasures. And later, I will show you a food stop that might be the messiest, most fun meal you will have all trip. Let's get into it. Nagoya sits almost exactly between Tokyo and Osaka, about 100 minutes from Tokyo Station by Shinkansen. It's Japan's 4th largest city, but most tourists just pass through it. That's actually good news for you. Fewer crowds, more local energy, and an underrated food scene. This city is perfect if you want real Japan without the Tokyo tourist chaos. Our first stop is Nagoya Castle. Most visitors expect to climb into the main castle tower. Here you can't. The tower has been closed since 2018 for earthquake safety reasons. A new wooden version is being built, but it won't be ready until sometime around 2032. So don't plan your visit around it. Instead, head straight for Honmaru Palace, right next to the tower. It's a full wooden reconstruction finished in 2018, using only traditional building methods. Gold leaf walls, hand-painted screens. It actually beats most castle interiors in Japan. Entry to the grounds and palace costs just 500 yen, so around $4. If someone tells you the castle is closed, they're only half right. Go for the palace. Here's something most people don't know. Toyota didn't start with cars. It started with looms. Back in 1897, a man named Sakichi Toyoda invented an automatic power loom right here in Nagoya. That invention eventually funneled his son's move into building cars. The Toyota Museum of Industry and Technology sits in the original red brick factory building from 1911. You walk through around 100 different textile machines before you even reach a single automobile. It's a 15 to 20 minute walk from Nagoya Station, so no train is needed. This spot is best for anyone who likes seeing where big companies actually come from. Not just the shiny end result, but the messy human beginning. This one surprises people. Atsuta Jingu is over 1,900 years old and said to house one of Japan's 3 sacred imperial treasures, the Kusanagi sword. You won't see the sword itself, it's never shown in the public, but you will feel the weight of the place the second you walk in. The shrine sits inside a forest of ancient trees right in the middle of the city. It's quieter than famous shrines like Ise, but almost as important historically. Go early morning if you want it peaceful. By midday, local visitors and school groups fill the paths. Now another great spot, the Ghibli Park. It is not a normal theme park. There are no big roller coasters here. Instead, there are 5 separate areas spread across a large public park in nearby Nagakute. Ghibli's grand warehouse is the indoor hub, packed with sets, props, and a giant robot soldier from the films. Hill of View feels like a European town square, straight out of Whisper of the Heart. Dondoku Forest has a full-size replica of the house from My Neighbor Totoro, one you can actually walk through. Mononoko Village is built like an old mountain settlement surrounded by trees. Valley of Witches lets you step inside Howl's moving castle itself. You get to the park by taking the Linimo, a small monorail about 50 minutes from central Nagoya. Here's the important part. Tickets are not sold at the gate. You need to book online in advance and popular dates sell out within hours. If you're serious about going, set a reminder for when the next month's ticket open. This spot is the best for Ghibli fans who plan ahead, not for last-minute visitors. Osu Kannon feels different from the other temples in the city. It's not tucked away. It sits right in the middle of a busy shopping district. The temple holds one of Japan's most valuable collections of old Japanese texts, some centuries old. But honestly, most visitors don't come here for the archives. They come because the temple opens straight into a huge street market. Incense smoke drifts right into the smell of street food stalls. It's a strange, wonderful mix of sacred and chaotic. Best visits in the late afternoon, when both the temple and the street outside are fully alive. We reach the favorite part of my video, the food stop. Even though my last video about Takatsuki recommended a monjayaki restaurant, I have to recommend one more. I'm talking about Tsukishima Monjayakuya Nagoya Hisayadori Park. The names don't get shorter. This place has an average rating of 4.9 with over 20,000 reviews. So yeah, of course there are many restaurants I can recommend, but I thought I have to mention this one. Now let's talk about the food. Monjayaki started in Tokyo, but it's nothing like its cousin okonomiyaki. It isn't a dish you just eat. It's a dish you build right there on the hot plate in front of you. The batter goes on thin and runny, almost like a soup, before it slowly turns crispy at the edges. If you have never cooked your own food at the table before, this is a perfect place to start. And don't worry, the workers there are always helpful and let you not ruin your own dish. I love these kind of places because food in Japan feels like an event with your friends instead of just eating. You sit, you talk, you make something meanwhile. The seafood monjayaki costs 2068 yen, so around $13. I find it very cool that they have pretty special monjas like butter chicken curry or pork and kimchi. You can add the recommended topping of cheese for 400 yen, so $2.50. Quick tip before we move on. If you're staying in the area, I recommend Nikko-style Nagoya. Clean, comfortable and close to everything I showed you. I've linked it down in the description, and if you're watching this on TV, there's a QR code on screen right now. Now the spot I teased earlier, Osu Shotengai. It's a shopping street with over 400 shops right next to Osu Kannon temple. Most tourists walk straight past the entrance without even noticing it. Doesn't look flashy from the outside, no big signs pulling you in. But once you're inside, it's a strange mix of old and new. Vintage clothing stores, retro arcades, tiny snack shops that have been there for decades. Local shops here every day. It's not built for tourists, and that's exactly why it feels so real. If you only do one thing of this list, let it be a slow walk through here. Nagoya was a city I did not have so much on my list, but Japan proves me again and again it does not matter where you go. You always find amazing things to do there. I did not know, for example, that so close to Nagoya is the Ghibli Museum. These are places many of my friends would love to go. And local markets like the Osu Shotengai are always a lot of fun if you ask me. I want to take more time in the future to also visit the big cities of Japan, even though I really enjoy traveling through the countryside. If you're planning your own Japan trip, I've got more city guides like this coming. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for spending your time with me. Mata ne.